Here now, Symone Sanders, Biden campaign senior advisor. She joins us from South Carolina. Symone, thanks for being here. You're in South Carolina.
Brett, hey, Martha. Good to see you.
Candidate here is working hard in New Hampshire, but the latest polls in the Suffolk Boston Globe New Hampshire poll has Joe Biden in fourth at 12%. The CNN poll a little bit better in third, but at 11%. These polls don't look good heading into tomorrow.
Well, Brett, look, Vice President Biden has been campaigning vigorously, we would say, in New Hampshire. And look, we think that the voters of New Hampshire, they haven't gone to the polls just yet. They are going to give us the rankings on Tuesday. But the reality is that whatever happens tomorrow, Vice President Biden will, in fact, still be in this race. You know, I heard in the opening package that there are doubts about how tomorrow shakes out. And depending on how it goes, will Vice President Biden continue to go forward? And the answer unequivocally is yes. There's another candidate in our distant, not too distant past that didn't do too well, too hot in Iowa or too hot in New Hampshire, frankly, and went on to be the Democratic nominee, and that's Bill Clinton in 1992. And Brett, Martha, since 1992, frankly, the Democratic nominee has been the person who has been able to garner a substantial amount of votes from African-American voters in this country. That's not going to happen with just Iowa and New Hampshire. So we're still trying to eke it out in New Hampshire. We feel good about our campaign. We are leaving it on the mat, but regardless, we are getting up tomorrow, and we will continue to campaign and looking forward to Nevada and South Carolina.
I mean, what does it say that you've already moved on to South Carolina? You're not even sticking around for the voting tomorrow night. I mean, that doesn't send a very strong signal if one of your, most prominent spokespeople has already moved on to South Carolina.
Well, Martha, I would note that Vice President Biden is still there, and anyone who is suggesting that we have written off New Hampshire, I would remind them that right after Iowa, we came directly to New Hampshire. Vice President Biden campaigned vigorously and very fiery and forcefully there last week, throughout the weekend, and is still there today. So the reality is that we know this is going to be a fight, and Vice President Biden is fighting. But we also know that this process will continue, and we have to allow the totality of this process to play out. That means Nevada. That means right here where I am in South Carolina, but it also means Super Tuesday.
You mentioned 1992. Bill Clinton came in fourth in Iowa, came in second here in New Hampshire, and he called himself the comeback kid. And he finished second to Paul Tsongas, who, is a neighboring son here. So if Biden finishes second, yes, he could make that play. But if he finishes fourth or fifth, what's the message to donors in South Carolina, in Nevada, all over?
Well, Brett, Vice President Biden actually spoke to a number of our South Carolina supporters and endorsers today. We had a call with them, just checking in, noting that he's campaigning vigorously and fighting in New Hampshire, but he is looking forward to getting to Nevada and South Carolina. And I'll tell you, they're still with us. And we believe that regardless of what happens tomorrow, they will continue to be with us. Look, Brett, I know that we've made a lot of case about electability. And I'm here to tell you that electability is not about who can win Iowa or even, frankly, who can win New Hampshire. But electability is about who can put together the broad and diverse coalition that it takes that represents the depth and breadth of this country and the Democratic Party. Electability, frankly, is about who can win in places like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And if you look at the candidates that were on the debate stage on Friday, Vice President Biden is the candidate that folks across the country in districts that President Trump won want at the top of their ticket.
But you got to admit, Symone, that he's getting a run for his money from Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar primarily, who have kind of moved into his lane. And then you've got this Quinnipiac poll tonight that shows that Bloomberg actually does better against President Trump than any of the other candidates, 51-42. So what are you going to do when he gets into the mix on Super Tuesday?
Well, I think we welcome Mayor Bloomberg to the race. There are talks that he could potentially be on the debate stage when we get to Nevada, and we welcome him to the race. But the reality is, Martha, we believe we have a case to make. Look, we believe our support is strong, but we also believe that when voters have to take a real look at this race, real look at this election, understanding that beating Donald Trump for Democrats is the most important thing, we have to put forth a candidate and a nominee, frankly, that's battle-tested, that has taken hits from President Trump and others and have kept it moving. And the reality is that Vice President Joe Biden is that candidate. He's been running against Donald Trump since April 25th when we got in this race, as well as competing with the other Democratic candidates. We believe that we will have the resources we need, we will have the delegates we need to be the nominee, and we look forward to seeing President Trump in the debates.
Symone, thank you very much. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, Symone.
Thank you so much.